Thank you everyone for coming out this morning. We're gathered here under the coalition of groups under Hillsborough Community Protection Coalition, and that encompasses a group of the Hillsborough County Branch NAACP, Care of Florida, Fight for 15, clergy, pastors, and concerned citizens of Hillsborough County. We have a host of speakers for you this morning. Our first speaker will be Chloe Coney, who's the founder of the Corporation to Develop Communities of Tampa and the former district director for U.S. Congresswoman Kathy Castor.
Good morning. It is indeed an honor to be here. Last week, I felt compelled to go before Hillsborough County Commissioners because I have my own personal story. Being raised here in Tampa, and I'm 66 years old, so when I was little, I had to drink from the colored water fountain. I had to go to the back of the bus. So at the age of 13, I was 1963, I made a conscious decision to leave my all-black school at Just Junior High School to integrate the school system and go to West Tampa, go to Old Jefferson. But boy, when I got to Hillsborough, Big Red, that was a rude awakening for a 16-year-old girl. I was called nigger. I was told that I was dumb, stupid, even though I graduated with honors from their school. But then I can understand why the prejudice and the hatred exists at the school. Went to the pep rally, and the teachers and the children with the flag, the Confederate flag, running up and down the auditorium, and everybody standing up, excited, singing Dixie and the land of cotton. Well, as a 16-year-old child, I cried because it was my ancestors in that cotton field that was beaten, raped, lynched. So I left a scar on me. So also today, standing here telling my second story, when I finished from Florida A&M in 1972, I was hired out of this courthouse as the very first black probation female here. And guess what? My first month on the job, June of 1972, I went with my supervisor, Chuck Hurd, out to Ruskin to do a pre-sentence investigation. When he stopped for gas, a guy ran out from the filling station with a gun, threatened me to kill me because they thought I was his girlfriend. My supervisor saying, Chloe, get your badge because you're a probation officer. Get it out. And I'm fumbling around. In my mind, I could see myself being shot and killed. So why am I saying all of this today? Because we know prejudice, racism still exists. If we allow this Confederate statue to still stand here, I'm grateful that Congresswoman Castor took me to Selma for the 50th year march. And I heard Peggy Wallace Kennedy say on that Montgomery Capitol, today I'm going to correct history. My son went through the African American Museum and saw my father with a hose letting them put it on black children and stopping kids from starting the school. And my son said to me, Mama, why is Papa doing that to the people? And she made a conscious decision to correct history, to make it right. And she called up Congressman John Lewis and said, today I'm going to do what is right, and I'm going to welcome you home, John Lewis. So when I went last week, I was not welcome home, telling my story, talking about the scars, talking about the terrible things that we went through. So today, I hope, again, that Tampa will do the right thing. The Hillsborough County Commissioners will do the right thing and move this Confederate statue, move it over to Oakland Cemetery, where you have whites and blacks and Confederate and whoever, the diversity that Commissioner Chris was talking about. Move it over there to the cemetery, but stop and move it from where people come from justice. Please have them to move it. Thank you. Move it. Move it.
Thank you, Ms. Cloney. Our second speaker is Ida McKeck, Civil Rights Coordinator of CARE, the Council on American Islamic Relations. The next speaker is Dr. Benny Small, President of the Hillsborough County Branch NAACP.
First of all, I'd like to thank you for having the opportunity of being here. Several things I want to point out to you is that I'm a lifetime resident of Hillsborough County and have seen many discrimination cases that has been involved here. I can remember the crest downtown where they marched. I can remember being one of the first students to go to the University of South Florida, and we had what we call as the University Restaurant. They admitted us there to be part of the university, but the University Restaurant would not accept blacks into it. They wanted us to go around to the back door. But there's a bigger story that I want to tell. I'm a Vietnam vet. By being a Vietnam vet, when we went to fight, which we didn't have a choice, they was drafting us into the war. Several things happened when we came back. People threw their fingers up at us, saying you were not welcome home, that you need to get out of town. They didn't give us the due process dealing with housing loans and etc. And now I'm looking behind me and I'm saying that they're saying let a Confederate statue stay up. We go back to 1911 when these things happened. But my history goes back further than that. In the lynching, in the calling of niggers here in Hillsborough County and asking to move from one neighborhood to another. But one of the most symbolic things that I can say is that being a product of Hillsborough County, I also work right here in this courthouse. My office was upstairs there. I was a probation officer. And going out in many times, the probation officers was basically set up for one, for the Afro-Americans. They could not arrest or talk to the white people that was actually involved in crime. However, I was able to go further and was able to get some things straightened out. My concern here is that Confederate flag, we appreciate those who want to protect their history, but it's just not the place here. If you're going to come and look for justice, how can you look for justice and you got injustice placed in front of you when you go in the courthouse? Now we know that when you go and talk with the judges, chances are cases are going to be looked upon, not necessarily because of the fact of the offense, but it's going to be looked upon on the basis of your economics and how you look. And cases are decided about that. We have statistics to support that. And then final, we got another call came in the other day from Riverview. You got a Catholic church up there that somebody went out and sprayed out swastikas on the side of the church. People are not doing anything, they're worshiping just like anybody else, which they have the right to do. A couple of days ago, I was in Hudson. You had the Ku Klux Klan down there putting out flyers, telling the people to get out, move around, don't get involved or get involved in their organization. What I am saying, the time has changed in this country. We must make some progress. We're, meaning at the NAACP, are looking at other things. We're looking at economic factors. You got a Super Bowl coming here, Bennett within 1 mile from here is doing a development of property. You got the NFL, you got the hockey. It's time now that the groups get together and rally and say, hey, you don't want to do it, then let's move it to a better stage. But rather than go there, we're asking you, we're backing you. Take this statue down and let people live the way that they want to. Hate is not come through by way of years. Hate is something that is incorporated into your life. Somebody are teaching you hate. I'm looking around, I'm seeing the younger people here in this community that are here today. What is happening? Somebody had to teach them hate. When I look around throughout this community, hate has risen almost 40% in this county in the last 6 months. So what I'm asking, please take it down, put it to another area. You want to protect or provide for your freedom or your rights or your history, just put it to another museum and let progress go on. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Small. Our next speaker is the Reverend Dr. Russell Elmire, who's Executive Director of the Florida Council of Churches and the pastor of New Parish, Tampa, St. Paul, and Faith Lutheran Churches.
Thank you, Natasha. Thank you all for coming out today to be part of this event. Appreciate everyone who's here, all the clergy who are with us. George Orwell said that when we let lies run the day, then they will hate people who tell the truth. Jesus says, you shall know the truth, and the truth shall make you free. We're here about freedom today, and it's a freedom about truth-telling about history. And this monument does not originate from the Civil War. It originates from the time of the Black Codes, and it was intentionally put up here so that anyone who walked through the courthouse doors of Hillsborough County would know that injustice and inequality is the rule of the day in this county. And if that's still the case, then the 4 commissioners who voted to leave it here, they need to come out and say that. That's what they need to say, not vote on whether or not to remove the monument, but stand up in the light of day and say, we believe in inequality and injustice. Last night, one of our young people tried to speak at the commission hearing in Ruskin on transportation, tried to make the connection between racism and transportation historically in this county, and was shut down by one of our white male commissioners before she could even finish her second sentence. That ain't right. I've lived in this county for 22 years. When we lived in Plant City, farm workers were treated as second-class citizens. Still happening today. When we moved over into Tampa Palms, it's very clear the way policing happens in Tampa Palms and the way policing happens in East Tampa. It's not right. When we look around this county and this city, what we see is the persistence of racism in every one of our institutions. Employment, schools, housing, health care, the courthouse, the county jail, the persistence of clear racial disparity easily mapped by any measure of statistical information you can find online persists to this day in this county. And this statue represents the history and the transmission of that racial disparity. The removal of this monument to a more befitting place is the first step in saying we're going to be intentional about righting the historical wrong that has been the long history of Tampa. You go all the way back to the founding of Tampa and Fort Brooke, which was the launching station for the indigenous genocide of the Seminoles. The history of this county is baked deep in racism. And the day has come when enough of us have read the various histories of the people who live here to say, let's tell the whole truth so that all the people can be free. And it's time for every one of the county commissioners to come clean with the whole truth of the whole history of Hillsborough County. The truth shall make you free, and the truth will remove this monument from the front doors of this county courthouse so that everybody who walks through knows that justice in this county, well, there's equality before the law. That's what we ask for. Nothing less and nothing more.
Thank you, Reverend Meyer. Our next speaker is Tampa City Councilman Vera of District 7.
Thank you very much, everybody. I just want to say what a real pleasure and honor it is to be here today. We're here today really to affirm a set of values. You know, every single year, I always take my son to Arlington Cemetery. And I do that in Washington, D.C. to teach him about heroes and to teach him about the values that make our country great. And when I think about the great men and women who we honor in Arlington Cemetery and in our armed forces, including Dr. Small, the Vietnam veteran, I think about the values that they fought for. The values all the way from Lexington and Concord to Gettysburg to the Americans parachuting into Normandy on D-Day, onward to the Americans in September of 1950 who fought in the Battle of Incheon of the Korean War, all the way to today. When I think about those values, I think about values that directly contradict what the Confederate States of America stood for and what its legacy stands for here today. Indeed, think about our country's history. I always say that the United States has always benefited from what I call progressive liberty. The idea that as time goes by, that original idea found by our founding fathers was expanded to more and more Americans. We saw eventually women, African Americans, immigrants, Hispanics, Jewish Americans, those with disabilities, onward and forward. have more and more of the protections that we initially had in this country. When I take a look at that progressive liberty, and when I think of the forces that fought against that progressive liberty, I can't help but to think about the values of the Confederate States of America and what this monument here represents today. I'm not here as a person who's looking to divide this community. I'm here as a person who's looking to unite this community behind the best American values that I believe we all agree with, Republican and Democrat. Indeed, I don't see this issue as a partisan issue. I've talked to many Republicans and Democrats and independents, liberals and conservatives who say that, to quote Indiana Jones, it belongs in a museum. It doesn't belong here. It belongs somewhere else, because that monument does not reflect our best values. I think of a quote that I recently found from none other than President George W. Bush, who said that a great nation doesn't hide its history. It faces its flaws and it corrects them. That's what we've done throughout our best moments in history. And I believe that that's what we're trying to do here today. We're about building bridges, not building walls between people. And I firmly believe that when we talk to people who may oppose the moving of this monument, and we talk to them about the community's experiences, that ultimately we will build bridges on this issue. So I just wanted to thank everybody for coming here today, and I would urge everybody to build bridges on this issue. Thank you, and God bless you.
Thank you, Councilman. Our next speaker is Hillsborough County Commissioner Pat Patricia Kemp.
Thank you so much. Thank you all for being here. We've heard so much history, and it has me thinking a lot about history. My father is interred at Arlington National Cemetery. His grandfather was a Confederate soldier. And I have no doubt that my father would be standing here if he was around to be here, and be very proud of me for standing here and taking the vote I did and joining with Commissioner Les Miller. I thank him for putting forward a proposal to move this Confederate monument from these courthouse grounds. We've heard a lot about how we need to write history and put this monument in a place away from here, a place where it can be seen, a place where we respect our history, where we put it in context, but not on our courthouse grounds. Since this vote was taken last Wednesday, I've been contacted and stopped by many people who have said to me, is there a time for reconsideration? Will this come back? What can we do now? It's been a real outpouring for me personally, and for me on all the different venues that I have. And I've said to everyone, yes, this can come back, this can be reconsidered. And any commissioner can bring this forward in the future. It really will depend on the will of the community to go forward and reconsider removing this Confederate monument from these courthouse grounds. So I think the vote that we took last Wednesday was a message that was sent across the country, really. People have been looking at Hillsborough County and at Tampa and how we're dealing with this. Many of you may know that just as we were taking that vote last week, they were removing a Confederate statue from downtown Orlando. Woo!
Yes, yes.
That they took a vote already to remove a Confederate statue in Gainesville. And that communities across the country are looking at this history and are considering this history and making a decision respectfully to do the same and to put these monuments not in a place where they are put forward and bring such pain forward and speak to such divisions in the community, but a place where they can be put in their proper context and moved to a more appropriate place. So I will be there supporting moving this from the courthouse grounds. Moving forward, I think we have to do that. We have the world watching us, and we have the United States watching us, the whole country watching us, and they're looking you know, when we talk about bringing a more open, diverse community here, keeping millennials, promoting our business here, looking forward, as a forward community, it's one that needs to be open, embracing, and in understanding our history and understanding our pain and looking forward to building something different. Woo! Woo!
Thank you. Our next speaker is Reverend James Golden, Esquire.
Good morning. I'm Reverend James T. Golden. I'm the Social Action Director for the 11th Episcopal District of the African Methodist Episcopal Church. Our bishop, Bishop Adam Jefferson Richardson, is a native of Hillsborough County. He was born and raised and formed his theology right here in the midst of all of the history and all of the sociology, all of the political realm that you have heard about. But this is not about politics or history or sociology. This is a spiritual warfare. Amen. This is a spiritual warfare. Les Miller said it right. It was a slap in the face. This is what turning the other cheek looks like. Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yes.
And to the four who voted against it, be warned. One of the three that lost is going to put it on the agenda. And the issue is, which of the four of you will have the moral fortitude, yes, the courage, yes, that will have the ability to say, let the dead past bury the dead past. Where it goes and what happens to it is not the problem of all of the people. So I issue this challenge, particularly to the commissioner who is a member of the Sons of Confederate Veterans. You go find somebody that will pay to have this statute moved. You go find somebody that will help you to put it in its more appropriate setting. But do not stand before the people of this county, some of whom elected him, and the other three who voted against this, and tell us that, yes, it may not have been right that it was here to begin with. And yes, it is here now. But it has been here long enough. Everybody that needs a passport, everybody that wants to get married, everybody that has everybody that records their deeds has to walk through these doors, and they have to walk past this statue. That may have been good when it was put up, but this ain't your daddy's county. Yeah. This ain't your granddaddy's town anymore. As has been pointed out, there's too much progress that has been made. There's been too many strides that have been taken to bring us here to this point. And we will not go away. We will not be afraid, and we will not stop till the four of you, one of you must change not just your mind, but you got to change your heart. This is spiritual warfare. And I don't know about you, but I'm going to stay on the battlefield until it is done. There's an African proverb that says, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a time. This is bite one. We've got schools that got improper names. We've got streets that have got improper names. We've got a whole lot that is wrong with us, but there's nothing that is wrong with us, to quote another president, President Clinton, there's nothing wrong with us that the good in us can't make right with us. So I beg you, those of you who are here from the media, send forth the word. We're not angry. We're just hurt that in this day and time, we can still have people proclaiming to represent all of us that are more concerned with the inappropriate recognition of a history that none of us wants to relive. May God bless us and may God keep us is our prayer.
Thank you, Reverend. Our next speaker is Pastor Elvis Piggott of Triumph and Deliverance Church of God in Christ.
It is an honor indeed to be a part of this. I come simply just to quote our Commissioner Les Miller said that we're not trying to destroy history, but what is very important is the time. You can't destroy history, but we surely are in a different time. It's 2017, and removing this monument simply makes a statement throughout Hillsborough County where we can simply see that this racism act and many racism deeds is still going on right here. And removing this monument make a statement that says that we, as the board of a governing body of Hillsborough County, the board of commissioners, the city council, and our mayor, we do not condone nor do we uphold any racism, and everyone in this county will be dealt with equally. And we know by moving this monument may not change the things that's inside of the people's heart, but most definitely it sends a message in out this county that this monument is not what we stand for, this is not what we agree with, and what it was put up in the agenda of which it was put up, we're removing it to let them know that this is just a start, that everyone in Hillsborough County will be judged equally, and those 4 commissioners that decided to say leave it up, in 2018 the election is coming, and if you really want a voice, I say to you, a vote. You must get out and vote and make sure that we put a voice on the county commission that is going to do what is right. And what is right is removing this monument from the courthouse right grounds. Have a great day.
Thank you for coming out today. I am Natasha Goodley, the first vice president of the Hillsborough County branch NAACP. I'm also an attorney and a local educator here within the county. This is very near and dear to my heart as well. I'm a native of South Carolina. I actually marched and participated in the first march to remove the Confederate flag from the State House grounds there. And we all know what happened with that. Just to move to Tampa, Florida, where we still have the flag, we still have the monuments, we still have everything here, showing us the face of injustice every single day. So this is a fight that's very near and dear to my heart as well. And I'm hoping that we can see change in the very near future. It seems Hillsborough County sometimes is always delayed in making swift decisions and comparing it to other counties, other cities across the state, across the country. And I'm hoping we can step up and we can do the right thing. Thank you so much for coming out today. Have a wonderful day and God bless.